So hi guys, in this video we will learn about tuples. So a tuple is an immutable data type. That means you cannot add, or you can say you cannot modify the elements in tuples. First of all, we will initialize some tuples. So the tuples item are written in parentheses and separated by a comma. Okay, so let first of all initialize a variable called a, and that is equals to, suppose 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma and 4. So you can see I initialized these items 1 2 3 and 4 into this parenthesis, and these items are separated by a comma. And remember, inside a tuples you can write integer, float, string, or list, dictionaries, etc. Right? So we will see that later on. So if I press enter and if I just write a, and you can see it is initialized successfully. And you can also initialize a tuple in another way, like this: b equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. And then if I write b, you can see both are same. So you can initialize like this: a equals to, then the parenthesis, open parenthesis, then the items, and after that closing parenthesis. Or you can write like this without the parenthesis, it will automatically take the parenthesis. Okay, you can also use the indexing and slicing like list over here. For example, there is another tuple, suppose that contains 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma 8 comma and 9 comma suppose 10. So there are 10 elements in this C tuple, and you can index any particular element by like this: C, then the third bracket, or you can say box bracket, then the position of that element. Suppose if you want to print 4, the position of 4 is 0 1 2 3. So you will just need to write over here 3 and it will print 4. Similarly, if you write over here 4, it will print 5. And if you want to print in reverse order, you can just put a minus symbol before the number. For example, if you want to print 10, you can write like this: C path 9, or you can say position 9, it will print 10. Otherwise you can write minus 1. It will actually first of all reverse the tuple, and then the first element, that is 10, it also prints 10. Similarly, you can use the slicing in a tuple. For example, C and then 0 clone, it will print all the element. And suppose you want to print only 4 elements, or you can say 5 elements, I'll just write 5 and it will print 1 2 3 4 5. And you can also use slicing. And if you don't know about slicing, I'll suggest you can see the list tutorial video. There I explained everything. So in this way you can use the indexing and slicing in tuple. Since we already learned that tuples are immutable, that means we cannot modify a particular element in tuple. For example, there is another tuple called d, and it contains 1 comma 2 comma 3, and it contains another list of 4 comma 5 comma and 6. So it contains 4 elements in total, where the first 3 elements are integer and the fourth element is a list. So you already know that list is mutable, that means we can modify lists. But the tuples aren't mutable, that means it are immutable. So if you write like this: d, the second, or you can say first element, that is 2, d1 is 2. If you run this code, you can see it is 2. And if you want to initialize or you can say if you want to change 2 with a value 10 or 20, for example, if I write 20, it will throw an error because tuple object doesn't support item assignment. But the 5 can be moved, 5 can be changed, 4 can be changed, 6 can be changed, because these are in the lists. So if I write like this: d, the position is fourth, right? 0 1 2 3. So this is the last element, that is fourth position, in the fourth position. So I'll just write over here fourth. And now since we want to change the 5, so I'll just write the position of 5, that is 1. because in the list it is in the first position 0 1 2. So 5 is in the 1 position, and that is equals to suppose 50. And now if I run, okay, actually I did a mistake because this list is in the fourth position, so we have to write is 3, so d3, and then we have to change the 5, that means 0 and 1, so here 1. So if I press enter, now it is changed, that means 5 is changed to 50. Now if I print d, okay, sorry, a d, and then enter, you can see 1 2 3 and then 4 56. So we can change list, we can change the items in list, but we cannot change the items in tuple. Now we will see how to concatenate two tuples. For example, we want to concatenate d, that is the value of, so first of all we have to print a d and sorry, let's print d and c, print c and print d. Now you can see C is this total thing 1 to 10, and D contains 3 integers and 1 list. So now if you want to concatenate these two, you can say tuple, you can do just with a plus symbol. So for example, E equals to C plus D. And now if I write E and run, you can see C contains 1 to 10 and D contains 1 to 3 and then 456. So in this way you can successfully concatenate two tuples, because you can see overall items are in this parenthesis, inside this parenthesis. That means it is a tuple. And again, since tuples are immutable, you cannot delete a particular element from a tuple, but you can delete the overall tuples, right? So E is this thing. So if you write like this, del E, the E will be removed because we already saw E has these overall items. And now if I write E, it says name E is not defined because we already deleted the E. In this way, you can delete overall tuple, but you cannot delete a particular element or particular item from a tuple. And lastly, if we talk about methods, there are not as much methods as list, because we already saw that I have to make a total tutorial of list methods. But in tuples, there are only two methods, that is count and index. For example, if you want to like, let's make another tuple, for example, x that equals to 1 comma 1 comma 1, it contains 4 1 and then normal numbers 2 3 4 5 6 and so on. For example, this only these numbers, okay. Yeah, so if you want to count the total number of items, similar items in a tuple, you can write like this: x count 1, it will print 4. That means that there are total 4 ones in this tuple. So you can see 1 1 1 1 1, and that's why. Similarly, if you want to know a particular index of an item, then you can use this index method, index. Then suppose you don't know the index of 4, so you can write 4 over here and it will show the index of 4. So let's check 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the 4 is at 6th position. Now guys, we already saw that we can initialize a tuple through this method or through this method. But there is also another method. For example, there is a y which contains a list of elements. For example, it contains random numbers. Okay, so if you run type y, it shows it is a list, but you can also use this list as a tuple. So for that, let's take another variable j, that is equals to tuple y. Okay, so in this way you can convert the list into a tuple. And now if you print j, it will be a tuple, you can see. But y is a list, z is a tuple, and let me print the type of z also, so you can see it is a tuple. It is clearly written over here, but Y is the list. So in this way you can convert other types into tuples. So the last thing we have to know about tuples is iterating, how to iterate tuples. For example, let's copy the E. Where is E? Yeah, so E is C plus D. So I'll just write that code. And yeah, so E contains these overall numbers, right, and a list. So how can you print a single items at a time? So for that you can use the for loop. For I in E, print I, and it will print every items separately. So you can see in this way you can iterate through a tuple, and you can also check whether item is in the tuple or not. For example, print suppose a 5 in E, it is true. Similarly, print for example 20 in E, which is false. And you can also use the string also. For example, diptam in E, which is also false. So these are all about tuples. So in the next video we will learn about sets.